Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission, and it's time now for part 2 of our Around the CHL segment, looking at the WHL Central Division with Edmonton Oil Kings play-by-play man Corey Graham. That division also contains the Calgary Hitmen, the Lethbridge Hurricanes, the Medicine Hat Tigers, the Red Deer Rebels, and the Swift Current Broncos. A couple of other players I wanted to ask about that are NHL drafted, one of whom you'll know very well, Matthew Robertson of the Edmonton Oil Kings, and Matt Sogar, the import goaltender, drafted by the New York Rangers and Ottawa respectively. Tell us about those two players.
Matthew Robertson doesn't always catch the attention, but man, watching what he does away from the puck, the plays he can make in the neutral zone to stymie rushes. He's not a loud defender, although he's been on a bit of an offensive streak here as of late, but he's kind of that shutdown. You don't have to worry about him. You plug and play, and he just does his job. He skates well, he moves the puck well, has a good first pass, and he makes some little plays in positions where, honestly, you don't even really notice it. You kind of look back and like, oh, his stick got in there and broke up that rush, or he took 2 strides and he closed down a 2-on-1 and made it a 2-on-2 by getting back to that perfect timing. He's fun to watch, but he's not always noticeable unless you're really paying attention to him. Matt Sogar, I'll be honest, I haven't seen him in person yet. I know he's a big goaltender. He was away last year, so didn't see his first sojourn in the WHL. He's a big goaltender, played really well. Had some struggles against Edmonton at times last year. The Oil Kings seemed to have the Tigers' number for most of last season, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. It's great the CHL has kind of opened up the Euro goaltending position again, because I think you want to have the best players you can possibly in your league, and he's one of those goaltenders. He's a guy that's big and he moves well. He gets everything done. He's got a decent enough start the season for Medicine Hat, but he's a big part of their success moving forward.
Talk about imports. I don't know, you probably haven't had a chance to see Oliver Okalar in Lethbridge. Let me know if you have any impressions of him, because he used to play in the QMJHL in Sherbrooke. And do you think, generally speaking, it's tougher for the WHL to get good import players? Maybe the distance is a bit of concern there.
It just kind of depends. I think we've seen some good import players over the years in the WHL. For a while, it seemed like a lot of them ended up in Portland. Their history of import players and being able to make that work for them has been fantastic. Swift Current had Julius Honka not long ago, and he was a fun player to watch, and it kind of struggled a little bit, or at least the NHL level, I should say. Oculars, the Oil Kings played in Lethbridge earlier this year, and I watched that game online, and I didn't really know much about him, to be quite honest with you, but after watching the game and seeing how involved he was, it shows that a guy can step in, and it probably helps that he's been over in North America for a year before, like you mentioned with the QMJHL. Maybe a little bit more accustomed to how things work.
You don't often see the imports switch leagues, and maybe a bit of a surprise he was released. Sherbrooke has a strong team in the Q this year, so nice to see that someone else is able to benefit from him being let go. Wanted to touch on the Swift Current Broncos. I was surprised in researching this interview. They put their business out there. You talk about the team turning a profit, and they put all that information out there. And also, when the Kootenay Ice moved to Winnipeg, the Swift Current Broncos move out of the division that has all the Saskatchewan teams in it. They move into the division with the Alberta teams. Tell us how that's playing in Swift Currents, and also talking about imports. They have Casper Pudio, their first pick in the import draft.
Community-owned team. Swift Current's a great market to go to, one of the smaller markets in the Western Hockey League, obviously, and with the success they had a couple of years ago winning the Western Hockey League and making it to the Memorial Cup, it was great to see for them, and you knew that after that they went all out that year. They invested a lot to bring in some players that season, so you knew they would have some challenges in the coming years, and that's kind of where they're at right now. But you're in Swift Current, you're talking Broncos. I mean, that's what everything's about in that town, so it's a fun place to go watch hockey, that little old barn. It's great to go watch a game in there when it's jam-packed. It can get real loud, obviously. And coming to the Central Division is interesting. They're close to Medicine Hat. That's been a rivalry for them over the years a little bit. But it is kind of different when you look on a map and you see all the teams in Saskatchewan and the Broncos with the Alberta teams now. It's obviously a long road trip to get down there from a place like Edmonton, although Kootenay playing in Cranbrook was no cup of tea to get to either. I'm sure it'll kind of improve as their team kind of gets better and improves and goes through their cycle of rebuilding that organization. They'll gain some good rivalries in the division, and probably especially with the Southern Alberta teams. I think they'll play each other a lot. But I was talking with Brad Curl, who does the game for the Calgary Hitmen, and it was weird. They opened against Swift Current, something they've never done in their franchise history. You mentioned 25 years. They never played Swift Current in the first game because, now they're a division team. They used to play Cranbrook all the time. It was always Calgary Kootenay. It wasn't going to work in Cranbrook long term. I think everybody had seen the writing on the wall there. Hopefully, Winnipeg will be a place it works in. I think it has some challenges there with an NHL team and an AHL team in that market. Swift Current Broncos, I think, they'll still play enough games against the Saskatchewan teams that they'll still have that rivalry going, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they can bring in the Central Division for sure.
I'd like to touch on things outside of the game, promotions the teams put on. I wanted to ask about this one because you're in Edmonton. We see teams around the CHL do school day games, but tell me about Hockey Hookie Day in Edmonton.
It's a game they've been doing for a while now. I think pretty much all the way back to maybe their second year of existence here in Edmonton. They brought that in. It's 11:30 during the day. Obviously invites schools to bring kids in, and the building gets full. It's a different atmosphere because it's a bunch of kids that A, are they're away from school, so they're happy, number one, and B, they get to watch a hockey game. They're into it, they're invested. The Oil Kings, I think they do a real nice job of incorporating some academic things on the scoreboard and stuff for kids to keep kind of engaged during the game as well. And it's not just a couple hours away from school. There are some learning opportunities, but obviously with playing in Rogers Place, it's not always the loudest place when you have 19,000 seats and for a junior game, but that game is loud. It's like a soccer atmosphere almost. It's like a bunch of, Guy Fleming calls it human vuvuzelas, high-pitched screeching and screaming, and every kind of shot on goal, every hit. Yeah, I've left the building a few times with a bit of a headache after that game because it's been so loud, but it's fun. I think it's great when you can try different things, and they're trying a cartoon night coming up this weekend as well, which is something they've never done before. You need to do that to bring other people in and expose other people to junior hockey and maybe hockey to begin with. And I know it's something the Oil Kings look forward to. It's one of the bigger crowds every year as well.
They're kind of sending the message that the CHL sends of mixing education and hockey, so that's great to see. Well, Corey, great talking about everything out in the Central Division, and we're very happy that you're back in the broadcast booth, and have fun covering the Oil Kings the rest of the season.
All right, Patrick, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
That's Corey Graham. He's the voice of the Edmonton Oil Kings in the Central Division of the Western Hockey League. You're listening to Around the CHL on Carstar, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey. Carstar, where they make accidents unhappen.